Welcome to Billerica Public Library's Book Buzz June publications. Sit back, listen, and find out about some great new releases that Billerica Public Library and Merrimack Consortium have acquired this month. Enjoy. Contemporary Fiction. One's Company by Ashley Hudson. Bonnie Lincoln just wants to be left alone, to come home from work, shut out the voice that reminds her of some devastating losses, and unwind in front of the nostalgic golden glow of her favorite TV show, Three's Company. When Bonnie wins the lottery, a vision to completely shuck off her own troublesome identity takes shape. She plans a drastic move to an isolated mountain retreat where she can recreate the iconic apartment set of Three's Company and slip into the lives of its main characters. No nonsense Janet Wood, pleasantly airheaded Chrissy Snow, and confident Jack Tripper. While her best friend Crystal tries to drag her back to her old life, Bonnie is determined to transcend pain, trauma, and the baggage of her past by immersing herself in the ultimate binge watch. The Catch by Allison Fairbrother. 2 years out of college, Ellie has a job in journalism, an older lover, and a circle of smart friends. Her beloved father, James, who has children from three marriages, unites the family with his gentle humor and charisma. But Ellie has always believed she is her father's favorite. When he suddenly dies, she finds herself devastated by the unexpected loss. Then, at the reading of his will, she learns that instead of leaving her his prized possession, a baseball that holds emotional feelings for them both, he has left her a seemingly ridiculous, even insulting gift. Worse, he's given the baseball to someone no one in the family has ever heard of. In her grief, Ellie wonders who could have possibly meant more to her father than she did. Setting out to track this person down, she learns startling information about who her father really was and who she herself is becoming. The Secret Life of Albert Entwistle by Matt Cain. Every day, Albert makes his way through the streets of his small English town, delivering letters and parcels and returning greetings with a quick wave and a how do. Everyone on his route knows Albert, or thinks they do. A man of quiet routines, content to live alone with his cat Gracie. 3 months before his 65th birthday, Albert receives a letter from the Royal Mail thanking him for decades of service and stating he is being forced into retirement. At once, Albert's simple life unravels. Without the work that fills his days, what will he do? He has no friends, family, or hobbies, just a past he never speaks of and a lost love that fills him with regret. And so, rather than continue his lonely existence, Albert forms a brave plan to start truly living, to be honest about who he is, and to find George, the man with whom he spent one perfect spring and summer long ago. One painful yet exhilarating step at a time, Albert begins searching for George and revealing his story to those around him. As he does, something extraordinary happens. Albert finds unlikely allies, new friends, and the courage to help others, even as he seeks happiness he's always denied himself. Counterfeit by Kristen Chen. Ava Wong has always played it safe as a straight-laced, rule-abiding Chinese-American lawyer with a successful surgeon as a husband, a young son, and a beautiful home. She's built the perfect life. But beneath this facade, Ava's world is crumbling. Her marriage is falling apart. Her expensive law degree hasn't been used in years, and her toddler's tantrums are pushing her to the breaking point. Enter Winnie Fang, Ava's college roommate from mainland China, who abruptly dropped out under mysterious circumstances. Now, 20 years later, Winnie is looking to reconnect with her old friend. But the shy, awkward girl Ava once knew had been replaced with a confident woman of the world, dripping in luxury goods, including a coveted Birkin in classic orange. The secret to her success? Winnie has developed an ingenious counterfeit scheme that involves importing near exact replicas of luxury handbags. And now she needs someone with the U.S. passport to help her manage her business, someone who'd never be suspected of wrongdoing, someone like Ava. But when their spectacular success is threatened and Winnie vanishes once again, Ava is left to face the consequences. More Than You'll Ever Know by Kate Gutierrez. In 1985, Laura marries Andres Russo in Mexico City, even though she is already married to Fabian Rivera in Laredo, Texas, and they share twin sons. Through her career as an international banker, Laura splits her time between two countries and two families until the truth is revealed and one husband is arrested for murdering the other. In 2017, while trawling the internet for the latest, most sensational news reports, struggling true crime writer Casey Bauman encounters an article detailing their tragic final act. Casey is immediately enticed by what is not explored. Why would a woman, a mother, risk everything for a secret double marriage? Casey sees an opportunity. She'll track Lure down and capture the full picture, the choices, the deceptions that led to the disaster. But the more time she spends with Laura, the more Cassie questions the facts surrounding the murder itself. Soon, her determination to uncover the truth could threaten to derail Laura's now quiet life and expose the many secrets both women are hiding. Iona Iverson Rules for Commuting by Claire Pooley. Every day, Iona, larger than life magazine advice columnist, travels the 10 stops from Hampton Court to Waterloo Station by train, accompanied by her dog Lulu. Every day, she sees the same people, whom she knows only by nickname: impossibly pretty bookworm, terribly lonely teenager, and of course, they never speak. Seasoned commuters never do. Then one morning, the man she calls smart but sexy man-spreader chokes on a grape right in front of her. He'd have died were it not for the timely intervention of Sanjay, a nurse who gives him the Heimlich maneuver. The single event starts a chain reaction, and an eclectic group of people with almost nothing in common except their commute discover that a chance encounter can blossom into much more. It turns out that talking to strangers can teach you about the world around you, even more about yourself. Dull Wed's Destiny by Tomio Barrow. Funmi, Intan, and Zainab first meet at university in Nigeria and become friends for life despite their differences. Funmi is beautiful, brash, and determined. Ente is homely and eager, seeking escape from her single mother's smothering and needy love. Zainab is elegant, reserved, raised by her father's two wives after her mother's death in childbirth. Their friendship is complicated but enduring, and over the course of the novel, the reader learns about their loves and losses. How Fahmi stole Zainab's boyfriend and became pregnant, only to have an abortion, lose the boyfriend to the police violence. How Entan was seduced by an American Peace Corps volunteer, the only one who ever really saw her, but is so culturally different. He is a Connecticut wasp that raising their daughter together put them at odds. How Zainab fell in love with her teacher, a friend of her father's, and ruptured her relationship with her father to have him. Now, some 30 years later, the three women are reunited for the first time in Lagos. The occasion, Funmi's daughter Destiny is getting married. Intan brings her American daughter Remy. Zainab travels by bus, nervously leaving her ailing husband in care of their son. Funmi, hosting the weekend with her wealthy husband, wants everything to go perfectly. But as the big day approaches, it becomes clear that something is not right. Historical fiction. Jackie and Me by Louis Bayard. In the spring of 1951, debutante Jacqueline Bouvet, working as an inquiring photographer for the Washington Times Herald, meets Jack Kennedy, a charming congressman from a notorious and powerful family, at a party in Washington, D.C. Young, rebellious, eager to break free from her mother, Jackie is drawn to the elusive young politician, and soon she and Jack are bantering over secret dinner dates and short work phone calls. Jack, busy with house duties during the week, Senate campaigning on the weekend, as well as his other, now well-known extracurricular activities, convinces his best friend and fixer, Lem Billings, to court Jackie on his behalf. Only gradually does Jackie begin to realize she is being groomed to be the perfect political wife, whether Jack is interested in settling down or not. Horse by Geraldine Brooks, Kentucky, 1850. An enslaved groom named Jared and a babe will forge a bond of understanding that will carry the horse to record setting victories across the South. When the nation erupts in a civil war, a young artist who has made his name on paintings of the racehorse takes up arms for the Union. On a perilous night, he reunites with the stallion and his groom, very far from the glamour of any racetrack. New York City, 1954. Martha Jackson, gallery owner, celebrated for taking risk on edgy contemporary artists, becomes obsessed with 19th century equestrian oil painting of mysterious provenance. Washington, D.C., 2019. Jess, a Smithsonian scientist from Australia, and Theo, a Nigerian American art historian, find themselves unexpectedly connected through their shared interest in the horse. One studying the stallion's bones for clues to his power and endurance, the other uncovering the lost history of the unsung black horsemen who were critical to his racing success. The German Wife by Kelly Rimmer. Berlin, Germany, 1930. When the Nazis rise to power, Sophie von Meyer-Rhodes and her academic husband benefit from the military ambitions of Germany's newly elected chancellor. When Jürgen is offered a high-level position in their rocket program, although they fiercely oppose Hitler's radical views and joining his ranks is unthinkable, it soon becomes clear that if Göring does not accept the job, their income will be taken away, then their children, and then their lives. Huntsville, Alabama, 1950. 20 years later, Jürgen is one of the many German scientists pardoned and granted a position in the American space program. For Sophie, this is a chance to leave the horrors of her past behind. But when rumors about the Rhodes family affiliation with the Nazi Party spread among her new American neighbors, idle gossip turns to bitter rage, and the act of violence that results tears apart a family and leaves the community wondering, is it an act of vengeance or justice? Fantasy. Maker of Swans by Parak O'Donnell. In the dead of night, shots ring out over the grounds of a sprawling English estate. The world-weary butler, Eustace, recognizes the gunman, his longtime employer, Mr. Crow, and knows he must think and act quickly. Who was the man lying dead on the lawn? Who was the woman in his company? Can he clean up his master's mess like he always has before? Or will this bring a new kind of reckoning? Mr. Crow, once famed for his gifts, unaccountable gifts, known only to the members of a secret order, protected and privileged, he was courted by countess and great men of letters, but he has long since retreated from the glittering world, living alone but for Eustace and Clara, his mysterious young lord. He has been content to live quietly, his great library gathering dust, his once magnificent gardens growing wild, and has left the past behind until now. Because of these rules, even for Mr. Crow and his kind, that cannot be broken, and this single night of passionate violence will have consequences, stirring shadows from the past and threatening those he now cares for. He and the faithful Eustace will be tested as never before. So too will Clara, whose own extraordinary gifts remain hidden, even from herself. If she is to save them all, she must learn to use them quickly and unlock the secret of who she is. A Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow. Zinnia Gray, professional fairy tale fixer and lapsed sleeping beauty, is over rescuing snoring princesses. Once you've rescued a dozen damsels and burned 50 spindles, once you've gotten drunk with 20 good fairies and made out with one too many members of the royal family, you start to wish some of these girls would just get a grip and try solving their own narrative issues. Just when Zinnia is beginning to think she can't handle one more princess, she glances into a mirror and sees another face looking back at her. The shockingly gorgeous face of evil, asking for her help, because there's more than one person trapped in a story that they didn't choose. Snow White's evil queen has found out how her story ends, and she's desperate for a better ending. She wants Zinnia to help her before it's too late for everyone. Will Zinnia accept the queen's poisonous request and save them both from the hot iron shoes that wait for them? Or will she try another path? The Final Strife by Sarah L. Afri. Red is the blood of the elite, of magic, of control. Blue is the blood of the poor, of workers, of the resistance. Clear is the blood of the slaves, of the crushed, of the invisible. Sala dreams of days growing up in the resistance, being told that she would spark a revolution that would free the empire from the red-blooded ruling class's tyranny. The spark was extinguished the day she watched her family murdered before her eyes. Anor has been told she's nothing, no one, a disappointment by the only person who matters, her mother, the most powerful ruler in the empire. But when Salah and Anor meet, a fire burns between them that can consume the kingdom and their hearts. Hassa moves through the world unseen by the upper classes, so she knows what it means to be invisible. But invisibility has its uses. It can hide the most dangerous of secrets, secrets that can reignite a revolution. And when she joins forces with Salah and Anoa, together these grains of sand will become a storm. As the empire begins a set of trials of combat and skill designed to find its new leaders, the stage is set for to flow, power to shift, and cities to burn. Mystery and Suspense. The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentile. In every person's story, there is something to hide. The ornate reading room at the Boston Public Library is quiet until the tranquility is shadowed by a woman's terrified scream. Security guards take charge immediately, instructing everyone inside to stay put until the threat is identified and contained. While they wait for the all clear, four strangers who happen to sit at the same table pass the time in conversation and friendships are struck. Each has her own reasons for being in the reading room that morning. It just happens that one is a murderer. Miss Morton and the English House Party Murder by Catherine Lloyd. The options for the penniless daughter of a deceased earl are few indeed in Regency England. So, following the suspicious death of her father, the Earl of Morton, and the discovery that she and her much younger sister have been left without income or home, Lady Caroline takes a post as a lady's companion to a wealthy widow, Forgerton. Just as Caroline is getting accustomed to her new position, her aunt, Lady Eleanor Greenwood, invites her and her employer to a house party in the countryside to celebrate her youngest daughter's birthday. Mrs. Matilda Forgerton sees this as an opportunity to introduce her own rather wild daughter, Dorothy, to the ton, and Caroline is eager to see her sister, who as a child lives with their aunt. But all is not well in the Greenwood estate. For one thing, Lady Caroline's former fiancé, Lord Francis Chatham, is a guest and refuses to speak to her. Far worse, after a series of troubling harassments of the staff, an elderly family member is found stabbed by knitting needle. As Caroline and an unexpected ally, Mrs. Forgerton, attempts to solve the chilling crime, they discover the culprit may be leaving bizarre clues as to who will be next in the nursery. But they must make haste, for this heartless killer is engaged in anything but child's play. Deep Water by Emma Bamford. When a Navy vessel comes across a yacht in distress in the middle of the vast Indian Ocean, Captain Daniel Tenku orders his ship to rush to its aid. On the board the yacht is a British couple, a horribly injured man, Jake, and his traumatized wife, Virginie, who breathlessly confesses, "It's all my fault, I killed them." Trembling with fear, she reveals this shocking story to Daniel. Months earlier, the couple had spent all their savings on a yacht, full of excitement for exploring the high seas and the exotic lands together. They start at the busy harbors of Malaysia, and through word of mouth, Jake and Virginie learn about a tiny isolated island full of unspoiled beaches. When they arrive, they discover that they are not the only visitors and quickly become entangled with the motley crew of expat sailors. Soon, Jake and Virginia's adventurous dream turns into a terrifying nightmare. Now it's up to Daniel to determine just how much truth there is in Virginia's alarming tale. But when his crew make a shocking discovery, he realizes if he doesn't act soon, they could all fall under the dark spell of the island. Vera Kelly, Lost and Found by Rosalie Knack. It's spring 1971, and Vera Kelly and her girlfriend Max leave their cozy Brooklyn apartment for an emergency visit to Max's estranged family in Los Angeles. Max's parents are divorcing. Her father is already engaged to a much younger woman and under the sway of an occultist charlatan. Her mother has left their estate in a hurry with no indication of return. Max, who hasn't seen her family since they threw her out at the age 21, prepares for the trip with equal parts dread and anger. Upon arriving, Vera is shocked by the size and the extravagance of the Comstock estate. The sprawling, manicured landscape, expensive and ornate buildings, garages full of luxury cars revealed a privileged upbringing that, up until this point, Max had only hinted at. While Max attempts to navigate her father, who is hostile and controlling, the occultist St. James, who is charming but appears to be siphoning family money, tensions boil over at dinner when Max threatens to alert her mother and her mother's lawyers to St. James and her father's plans using marital assets. The next morning, when Vera wakes up, Max is gone. The Key to Deceit by Ashley Weaver, London, 1940. After years of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, well, to themselves anyway, Ellie McDonald and her family have turned over a new leaf as they help the government's war effort. It's true that straight-laced Major Ramsey didn't give them much choice, but still, Ellie must admit she doesn't miss breaking and entering as much as she might have thought. What she does miss is the challenge of unlocking the impossible code and the adrenaline rush that comes from being somewhere she shouldn't. So when Major Ramsey turns up unannounced with another job, she can't say no. A woman's body has been found floating in the Thames, with the bracelet locked onto her wrist and a cameo locket attached to it. And it's clear the woman was involved in espionage. But whose side was she on? Who was she reporting to? And who wants her dead? The Girl They All Forgot by Martin Edwards. What happened to Ramona Smith? History always repeats itself. After a father and son commit suicide on the same day, 20 years apart, DCI Hannah Scarlett and her cold case division reopened the investigation of Ramona Smith, a woman who disappeared 21 years ago. Desperate to finally find answers, Hannah and her team chase leads as meandering as the shoreline. As the body count rises, the cold case division must unravel the loves of those on the crooked shore before another murder plot unfolds. NonFiction. Manifesting Justice by Velina Beatty. When Velina Beatty first became a federal prosecutor, her goal was to protect victims, especially women, from cycles of violence. What she discovered was not only did prosecutions often fail to help victims, they frequently relied on false information, forensic fraud, police and prosecutor misconduct. Seeking change, Beatty began working in the innocent movement, helping to free factually innocent people through DNA testing and criminal justice reform. Fun Habit by Mike Rucker. Doesn't it seem that the more we seek happiness, the more elusive it becomes? There is an easy fix. Hiding in plain sight, fun is an action you can take here and now, practically anywhere, anytime. Through research and science, we know fun is enormously beneficial to our physical and psychological well-being. Yet fun's absence from our modern lives is striking. Whether you're a frustrated high achiever trying to find a better work-life balance or someone who's seeking relief from life's overwhelming challenges, it is time you gained access to the best medicine available. The Fun Habit is the ultimate guide to reap the serious benefits fun offers. How to Raise an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. The tragedies and reckonings around racism that are rocking the country have created a specific crisis for parents, educators, and other caregivers. How do we talk to our children about racism? How do we reach children to be anti-racist? How are kids at different ages experience race? How are racist structures impacting children? How can we inspire our children to avoid our mistakes, to be better, to make the world better? These are the questions Ivan found himself avoiding as he anticipated the birth of his first child. Like most parents or parents to be, he felt that the reflex to not talk to his child about racism, which he feared would stain her innocence and steal her joy. But research and experience changed his mind, and he realized that raising his child to be an anti racist would actually protect his child, preserve her innocence and joy. He realized that teaching students about the reality of racism and the myth of race provides a protective education in a diverse and unequal world. He realizes that building anti racist societies safeguards all children from the harm of racism. I Like to Play Alone, Please by Tom Segura. Tom Segura is known for his twisted takes and comedic voice, but after a few years of crazy tours and churning out podcasts weekly, all while parroting two young children, he desperately needed a second to himself. It's not that he hates his friends and family, he's not a monster, he's just beat, which is why his son's first full sentence, I like to play alone, please, has since become his mantra. In this collection of stories, Tom combines his signature humor with revealing look at some of the ridiculous situations that shaped him and the ludicrous characters who always seem to seek him out. Riding the Lightning by Anthony Almagera. As a seasoned paramedic and union leader, Anthony thought he could handle anything his job threw at him. Like many medical first responders, he came from a troubled background and carried the traumas of the city as well as its comforts. But he had dedicated his life to helping people in need. And while every day was filled with tragedy, stabbings, shootings, accidents, suicide, it also brought moments of uplift, births, and rescues that reminded Anthony and his coworkers why EMS was the most thrilling job on earth, even if the pay was lousy and the hours were long. So when a strange new virus began spreading in New York, Anthony and his fellow medics were ready. They had done the biohazard drills. They knew the procedures and how to handle the sick and the bereaved. They believed that their lives and training had prepared them for this new challenge, but the months ahead would prove them wrong and would push New York's EMS workers and Anthony himself to the breaking point and beyond. The Monster's Bones by David K. Randall. In the dust of the Gilded Age bone wars, two vastly different men emerged with the mission to fill empty halls of New York's struggling American Museum of Natural History. Harry Fairfield Osborne, a privileged socialite whose reputation rests on the museum's success, and the intrepid Kansas-born fossil hunter Baron Brown. When Brown unearths the first T-Rex fossil in Montana wilderness, forever changing the world of paleontology, Osborne sees a path to save his museum. With 4-foot-long jaws capable of crushing the bones of its prey and hips that power the animal to run at speeds of 25 miles per hour, the T-Rex suggests a prehistoric ecosystem more complex than anyone imagined. As the public turns out in droves to cower beyond this bone-chilling giant of the past and wonder at the mysteries of its disappearance, Brown and Osborne together turn dinosaurs from a biological oddity into a beloved part of culture. The Spy Who Knew Too Much by Howard Bloom. On a sunlit morning in September 1978, a sloop drifts aimlessly across Chesapeake Bay. The cabin reveals signs of a struggle in classified documents, live 9mm cartridges, and a top secret burst satellite communications transmitter are discovered aboard. But where's the boat's owner, former CIA officer John Paisley? One man may hold the key to finding out. Pete Bagley was once a rising star in the American spy world, and many expected he'd eventually become CIA director. But the star that burned so brightly exploded when Bagley was accused of being a mole. After a year-long investigation, Bagley was finally exonerated, but the accusations tarnished his reputation and tainted his career. When Bagley's daughter Christina, a CIA analyst, married another intelligence officer who was the son of the man who played a key role in the investigation into Bagley, it caused a painful rift between the two. But then came Paisley's strange death, a murder, suicide, or something else. Pete, now retired spy, launches his own investigation that takes him deep into his own past and his own long-time hunt for a mole. What follows is a relentless pursuit to solve a spy story, an inspiring tale of a man reclaiming his reputation and his family, and its very personal quest that leads into a shocking conclusion.